Hiya, welcome back to Tutor on the Bike. I'm out today to do a challenge that's been set by Al, the Scottish biker. So Al, I met at the vlogger meetup weekender a couple of weeks ago. Didn't get much chance to speak to him because the weather was rubbish, so when we were off the bikes we were kind of trying to shelter. But he's a nice fella, and he set a challenge to anybody really that wants to take part. And the challenge is to take a photograph of your bike at the top of a hill. So I thought, game on, I'll do that. So I've been out, I went to the Beef Tub because the scenery there is lovely, so took some photographs while I was there of the bike at the top of a hill to take part in this challenge, and I hope it works out. I hope the photos are alright. What I did was when Al did the challenge, or set the challenge, he obviously took a photo of his bike at the top of a hill to start with, and he's obviously quite a keen photographer, and he had a fancy camera, and when he opened his bag he had a whole pile of lenses, and then he said, "Oh, I don't have such and such a lens with me." So he's obviously got loads of them, and he knows, well, I think he must know what he's talking about. And I don't have that kind of knowledge, but I do have a fancy digital camera. I've got a digital SLR camera. It's getting a bit now, but I've had it for a while and I rarely use it. It was a little bit of a waste of money, but I bought it anyway, and I've taken it with me today to take these photographs. To give you an idea how bad I am, my brother is, or was anyway, a very keen photographer. This was back in the days when we did film. There was no digital photography back then, and we had a darkroom set up at the house for him to develop and print his pictures, and he did colour as well as black and white, which apparently is an awful lot more difficult, and some of the things he could do was amazing. Things that you can probably do with Photoshop now at the few clicks of a mouse, he had to do using fancy chemicals and fancy filters and different exposure times and different papers, and it was a complicated process, but he knew what he was talking about, and he took some absolutely wonderful pictures. So I got this digital camera, this SLR, and I said, right, I'll better learn how to use it. So calling the services of my brother, and I said, right, show me how to use this thing. So he talked away and fiddled with it, and pushed buttons and twiddled knobs and started talking, and he might as well have been talking Swahili. The conversation went something like, right, so what you need to watch out for is blah 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 blah, shutter speed, blah 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 blah, timed exposure, blah 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 blah, set up your dandubricator so as it's set for the correct something or other, and don't forget to adjust your Flugelwanger. And that's kind of the way the conversation went. So I think he must have seen me glazing over, and he said, right, I'll just set it for automatic, he says, and use that. And I said, well, I've got a big lens came with it and a small lens came with it. What's the difference? He says, just use the small lens, he said. I said, yeah, but I've got a big lens, what can I do with that? He says, only use that if you want to take photos of stuff that's far away. Cool, that's what I've done, and for the last 10 years that I've had this SLR, that's been my rule of thumb. So that just shows the amount of knowledge that I've got. Somebody admiring the scenery. It's the same with the video cameras. Thank goodness for DJI and Osmo cameras, because quite honestly it's point and shoot. The video that I produce is unmolested, quite simply perhaps cut and paste and change of view, but the footage is pretty much as it comes out of the camera is what you see on YouTube. Nice and simple for simpletons like me. So anyway, get back to Al's challenge. He set the challenge and said, right, whoever wins it, I think he's going to be the one that judges who the best photograph is, gets to pick the next challenge. And it's nothing particularly hard. You might say, well, the next person or the next challenge is take your picture next to a historic monument, or take a picture of your bike next to a river or something like that. Something pretty simple, and it's a great way of just getting people involved. Because it's all very well sitting watching YouTube videos, but if you can actually become involved with other people, then it's a terrific thing. It can be quite a kind of lonely thing. That's not true at all. I like it to be lonely, but it can be a kind of solitary pursuit if you're vlogging. And like I am, so basically all I want to do is show you some of the views round about Scotland and take you on my travels. So yeah, it's a wonderful way to get people involved. He also asked me to do some keyrings for him, which I've done, and I think he's planning to do a similar thing to what Graham the Haggis Whisperer is doing by Graham's got his haggis hunt, as he calls it, and right, this is where all these stones were, so I need to watch. I think Al's going to do the same thing. I think he's going to hide some keyrings and tell people where to find them. Roadworks on here somewhere. Flipping sweet stones on the road. Oh, there's the traffic lights there. Look at the stones on the road though. There's not enough of them to really make you skid too much, but they look bloody sharp. They give you a puncture if you're not careful. Thank you! Hey, nice woman. Nearly got battered by a bucket there. Get over the road a bit, for goodness sake, you Range Rover twat. Anyway, there we are. So we're going to take a run into Moffat now, and after Moffat I'm just going to head back to the house, back to Dumfries. So thanks very much for watching.